Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Belle again. So today, we're going to talk about Trump's involvement in Iran. As the region heats up, Trump's habit of saying things to make himself seem connected to every major event is creating major issues for U.S. diplomats and undermining efforts in the region. A series of comments that are typically the kind of things that world leaders don't disclose have raised tensions, put the U.S. on the line, and are often contradictory, leading to greater possibility of direct U.S. involvement. Trump told ABC News, quote, "We're not involved in it. It's possible we could get involved, but we are not at this moment involved." To be clear, this is the President of the United States suggesting the U.S. could go to war with Iran. Secretary of State Marco Rubio took the same public stance initially, saying, quote, "Tonight, Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We are not involved in the strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region." But reporting says U.S. officials have told the press that Trump vetoed an Israeli plan for a strike to remove the Iranian leader. If he did, that's probably the right move, so good for him. However, the idea that the U.S. has final say on operations is false, and it also implies that the U.S. greenlit all the other operations against Iran, when the reality is that Trump is reported to have actively pushed back against the wider campaign and was ignored. Even if U.S. pressure actually did deter this specific operation, this is information that should have never become public. The perception it creates is really bad for the U.S. and endangers U.S. forces abroad. As far as potential U.S. direct involvement, it appears as though Trump has ordered a massive redeployment of U.S. aerial refueling capability, so it's closer to the conflict zone. This doesn't necessarily mean U.S. involvement is imminent, but this is something that would have to occur before U.S. involvement takes place. Elsewhere, the term regime change is being used referencing Iran. That's a scenario that would carry massive implications for the entire region and would create a lot of instability that the U.S. is not really prepared for. It would absolutely undermine the long-time U.S. goal of being able to deprioritize the Middle East. However, a lot of the current administration's foreign policy seems stuck in the 1900s. So it's not a complete surprise that they're perhaps, unintentionally this time, undermining long-term U.S. interests. Iran is reaching out through non-U.S. diplomatic channels in a potential bid to end, reduce, or at least contain the scope of the conflict. The fact that Iran is reaching out to other players shows a decline of U.S. influence and power in the region, even if those other players eventually reach out to the U.S. on Iran's behalf. The only good news is that it seems like Trump's managers have been able to hammer home that he shouldn't be speaking off the cuff on the situation. And today at the G7, Trump was asked about what it would take for direct U.S. involvement. And he simply said, quote, "I don't want to talk about that." Democrats have introduced a resolution to require a vote before Trump uses military action against Iran. We'll see how long he can follow the very good advice of not commenting on this. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.